Welcome back to The Real Story. As the record-breaking Schumer Shutdown finally nears an end after more than 42 long and painful days of nonsense, Americans all over the country await with bated breath to see if life will finally get back to normal. Following 7 weeks of flight delays and cancellations, cut benefits for millions, and furloughs for hundreds of thousands of government workers, members of the House of Representatives have finally been called back to Washington, D.C. to vote on a spending bill today, after it was approved in the Senate on Monday night. And if the deal passes, it'll go to President Trump's desk for signature. And if he signs it, then federal agencies are expected to immediately return to operations. Although, frankly, it's unclear how exactly that process will go and how long it'll take. But nonetheless, the bill includes funding SNAP benefits through the end of next September in 2026, as well as ensuring that federal employees actually receive back pay. Additionally, President Trump has said all airport operations, and likewise my brother, and I want to start there. What is the key takeaway from this asinine, futile, and ridiculous Schumer shutdown?
I think the takeaway for me, Riley, I mean, one of the reasons why I said from the beginning that I think we should believe J.D. Vance when he was saying this thing could take weeks is because I think the incentives perversely were aligned for this to happen on both sides. The Republicans have consistently said that they think that the government's too big. We're spending too much money on too many different broken things. The SNAP program, by the way, is one of them. Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, said we have to get our hands wrapped around this broken and corrupt system. Actually, on our podcast, we talked to an investigator who said that they've identified, I think, something like 700,000 names who are problematic on this program. Of the 25 states with the data they've collected, they found one guy that was registered to receive SNAP benefits in 6 different states.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And they found some cards with balances of like $60,000. That's just an example of how big the system is and the status quo perpetuates. So the Republicans are like, look, let's take a look at this thing. And the Democrats, the only real time that they win politically is when they're seen to be fighting Donald Trump. And the best thing they could do to be seen fighting Donald Trump is to hold out for health insurance for illegal immigrants and pushing for that instead of having the government be refunded. Let's don't let our military members get paid. Let's don't let California and the governor's race in New Jersey and Virginia. That's when they caved.
But Eric, this whole process has been really indicative of the rot in D.C. There is so much corruption and animosity and dysfunction. It's enough to make you sick. And you're just looking at this as an everyday American thinking, how do we make sure something like this never, ever happens again? I don't really have the exact answer for that, but I want to ask you that because that's the question on my mind. We've seen shutdown after shutdown going all the way back to the 1970s. And I'm thinking, what other serious country would shut their government down because of a dispute about funding health care for non-citizens who are here illegally, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, instead of saying, what can we do to keep this from happening again, I think we should be saying we should get ready for this to happen again at the end of January, because that's what the current funding bill goes until. The SNAP benefits are extended because I think people realize that's not good to have if you are going to be fighting over different funding mechanisms, that we still want the hungry people to eat. But I do think, look, there's some very real issues on the table. The Democrats do not like, I mean, they're trying to force a conversation about health care. I've heard Democrats say they think that's a winning position for them politically. And they're saying, look, if you're going to get rid of these Obamacare subsidies, which, by the way, the Democrats are the ones that wrote them in the first place to expire right now. So this is their plan. Then they're saying, well, where's the Trumpcare to replace it? And I love mortgage, which respectfully is a ridiculous idea, but it's part of the larger context of they're trying to figure out ways to make things more affordable. There's probably not much Donald Trump can do to make life more affordable for the United States citizens than fixing healthcare, trying to, right? I mean, whatever lawsuits he wants to do against the cattle ranchers or $2,000 stimulus checks, if he really does want to do a meaningful economic win for people, healthcare reform might be part of it. So maybe it is a chance for actual functional incentives to be aligned in a positive way. I'm just not going to hold my breath.
No, and on that specific point, maybe this sounds counterintuitive because keeping the government open requires spending. But if I was president tomorrow, Eric, here's what I would do. Complete moratorium on all non-necessary spending for at least 20 or 30 years. Just get back to equilibrium, interest rates down, inflation down. We need deflationary right now. There's too much money in the money supply. We're destroying the value of the dollar, and that's at the root of this whole problem. The government, even though they spend trillions every year, Eric, continues to run out of money. And that is a problem that it astounds me, Eric, like just to my core.
Well, and by the way, like that's an important context that everyone should remember when we're talking about sending that $2,000 stimulus check based off of tariff revenue. Tariff revenue, by the way, the Supreme Court might suggest they're not qualified to keep in the first place. But yeah, if we're worried about things being too expensive and if inflation's still too high, it may have come down. That's why you see them coming out with these different proposals. Mm-hmm. And I think that's actually something that everyone should be on board with. The American people want it. And there's no reason why Democrats and Republicans can't work together to try to make life more affordable for everyday Americans.
Well said.